Hello, welcome back to Red Meat for Dinner. My name is Colton, and today I wanted to discuss plants. All right, those green things, those colorful things that we're all told as a kid that we need to eat to be healthy. Eat your vegetables. Mama always said can't leave any vegetables left on the plates. But I'm actually starting to rethink, or at least I have been over the last year, if that's actually a good idea or not. For those who don't know, I've been on a carnivore diet now for almost 11 months, and it has radically changed my health for the better. It's gotten rid of pretty much all of my health problems that I was dealing with, from mental health to physical health, and it's even helped me improve my spiritual health. So it's done wonders for me. And over the past year, I've been doing a ton of research from people that are way smarter than me, listening to a lot of long-form discussions with different doctors in different spaces, from the plant community to the vegan community, vegetarian, carnivore, you name it. Discussions inside and out, looking at new data, looking at old data that was perhaps corrupt, and overall just kind of coming to a different conclusion on what is or isn't healthy and what is kind of being pushed on us in today's world. So I wanted to talk about the plants and also the whole phrase "eat the rainbow." I believe that came about in the early 2000s as a way for the USDA, or I think that's who it was, to try and get more people to eat plants, essentially, or to eat more of a variety of vegetables. And what's interesting enough is, and I encourage everybody to do this, is just to start looking at things from more of a historical standpoint, from more of a biological, human history type standpoint. Everything you see in the grocery store, as far as plants go, I'd say over 90% of it would not have been in that grocery store 200 years ago. A lot of these things just didn't exist. And if they did exist, they were very seasonal. So when the phrase comes about, eat the rainbow, it's kind of ironic to think that that could be healthy, because you could have never eaten the rainbow, if you were growing your own food even. A lot of these things are very seasonal depending on where you live. So can something be the optimal diet, the optimal way to eat, if you could have never eaten that way in nature, right? Without modern day agriculture and modern day supply chains and logistics and those kinds of things making this stuff work. And that really gets me thinking, and it should really get you thinking too. How can something be optimal if it never existed in our history as human beings, right? It doesn't even matter how long you think humans have been around, whether you're like a young Earth creationist or if you're into evolution, think the Earth's billions of years old, and it really doesn't matter. If you just look at the anatomy of the human body, how we've been eating, even up until the last couple hundred years, it's completely different than where we're at now. Now, I kind of want to distinguish two things, because a lot of times it gets conflated. A lot of the sickness in today's world, I do believe, is because of ultra-processed food, very cheap food with very little nutrition that's just kind of passed off to us as a way to make a quick buck by a lot of these big companies, and they sell it to us as food. I'd say most people are malnourished, even people who are overweight. It might seem like a contradiction, but I think some of the most overweight people are probably some of the most malnourished people, right? They're just deficient in the essential nutrients they need to be healthy. And so that's the ultra-processed side of things, right? The cereals, the Kellogg's products, the stuff with a million things on the ingredients list that you can't pronounce or you would never find in your shelf, in your pantry alone. People are eating so many things that they don't even know what they're putting in their mouth. They don't even know what it is. They know it's called, cereal, for example, but they wouldn't be able to tell you what over half of the ingredients on that list actually are. And that's a problem. So I want to kind of separate that, because we all know that stuff's bad. We all know that ultra-processed diet is harmful for us. I think we all can recognize that. The problem is it's so addicting, and it's made to be so addicting, that it's really, really, really hard for people to kind of step aside from that, because we make it so convenient, we make it so cheap, and we push it in culture and in media, because these corporations spend millions of dollars to try and push that onto us in advertisements. Food is designed and essentially created, these ultra-processed foods are designed and created to be super addictive. And that's by design. That's not a natural process. And so, thinking of that, obviously, I do believe that if you took somebody from a standard American diet where they're eating, just ultra-processed food for 95% of what they eat or more, I think switching them to even a vegetarian diet would probably see some improvements. But I want to kind of distinguish what's going to lead to improvements versus what is optimal for people who are not only very sick, but who want to be optimal, right? For those who are maybe healthy but want to know what's optimal, how can they feel their best? I really do believe that there's a lot to plants that we mislead people about. Even the healthy potato, vegetables, whatever, the peppers, the whole food ingredient plants, I do still see a lot of problems with them. And they're not for everybody, and not everybody's going to have a problem with them. But we have to look at it from a basic, just basic biology. Every botanist, every cancer researcher, biologist would be able to tell you these things, that plants have defense chemicals in them. Plants don't want to be eaten. I mean, they're living things. They can't defend themselves in the same way that animals can. They can't run away. They can't hide. They can't scratch you. They can't bite you. They can't, release off of really stinky stuff to get you away from them. They're stagnant. They're in place. And so they have to defend themselves through other means, right? We see this with like thorns, with roses, and, we all intuitively know this. If you just think about it for a second, if you're ever like super, super hungry, if you've ever been insanely hungry walking through a park or through the woods, you know better than to go up to a random tree or a bush and start eating the berries, start eating the leaves. You're not going to just start eating random grasses, because we all intuitively know that 99% of plants out there will make us extremely sick or kill us. We all just know that. So that is because they have defense chemicals in them, and every single plant has these, even the ones you're buying at the grocery store. Now, to be fair, we've bred a lot of these chemicals to be a lot lower than they used to be, right? Bitterness is one of those things that lets us know defense chemicals are in something. Our tongue is a very sophisticated machine that's supposed to work in tandem with our brain to tell us what is safe to eat and what is not, and it's also supposed to work to tell us when we are full and when we should stop eating. And so bitterness is one of those things that naturally we would have avoided. Right? We've kind of inverted that in today's society with coffee and teas and bitter things that we kind of enjoy now. We've kind of forced ourselves to end up liking, but bitterness was always the thing that you avoided in nature, right? Sweet was a thing that kind of let us know if it had fructose in it. I mean, fructose was terrible, but it wouldn't kill you in the moment. It wouldn't make you sick in the moment, and so it was safe. So we all know that we can't just go eat random plants. That'll make us very sick. Every plant has defense chemicals in it, otherwise they would be devoured by every insect on the planet immediately. And we intuitively knew this, even when we were eating plants throughout the agricultural revolution. We knew better. For example, we peeled our potatoes, okay, because the skin is where the toxins are most concentrated on a potato. It's the barrier. It's keeping the rest of the potato safe, right? So if bugs can get past the skin, they're going to eat the inside of the potato, so it concentrates its toxins in the skin. We used to peel potatoes and boil them like crazy to get rid of these things. And now we just eat potato skins, right? Now it's like, oh, that's where all the nutrition is, and let's eat potato skins. No, they're have a lot of bad things in them, a lot of toxins in them. Same thing with tomatoes, all right? We used to vine ripen tomatoes because the vine actually pulls, when you ripen them on the vine, the plant is pulling the toxins out of the fruit so that it can be more edible towards whatever is going to eat it, so it can therefore pass along its seeds through the feces somewhere else, okay? So what did we used to do? Well, we used to vine ripen tomatoes to make sure that those toxins were reduced. We used to also boil them and peel the skin off to make sure that we got rid of the skin, which is one of the most toxic parts of the tomato, because that's where, again, it's concentrating. It's like that shield. It's the protective layer around the plant. It's going to concentrate its defense chemicals there. And then we used to also get rid of the seeds, because while the seeds may want to be eaten and pass through your feces somewhere else, they don't want to be chewed. That's the baby of the plant. And most seeds have these defense chemicals in them that when they're chewed, they essentially create this new mixture, and it can become really toxic. This is all seeds, have these things in them. A lot of seeds can make you really sick and kill you. Like almonds, for example, if they're not roasted, just a handful of them can put you in the hospital and kill you. Plants don't want you to eat their babies, okay? They want you to swallow them and maybe germinate them somewhere else in your poop, but they don't want you to chew these things. They don't want to be eaten, okay? They are like every other living thing that wants to pass on its genetic code and reproduce for the future. So we have to understand that that's a fact. That's a reality. Biologists know this. Cancer biologists know this. Zoologists know this. Right? You can't just go feed the animals random plants and stuff. They'll get really extremely sick. You have to feed them their species appropriate diet. And I do believe that we have fallen out of our species appropriate diet. Even just looking at the way our intestinal system is designed with our appendix and everything else, we're obligate carnivores. I do believe that we are meant to eat meat primarily. fatty animal meat, preferably ruminant meat. And yes, we can get away with eating other things. Certain plants that we know are safe that won't kill us in the moment when we're starving. And that's an advantage to survival. This is probably what did help us get through a lot of hard times, where other animals like lions, who can't eat a lot of plants at all, they will just die, they have a lower survival rate when there's a famine. So we've adapted to be able to handle certain plants, and we've been able to breed certain plants that will really help us during a time of famine, or when when we're struggling to survive and find actual animals or food to eat. But we have to understand that that's not what's optimal, okay? And so recognizing now in 2024 what is optimal, right? I do fully believe that a high-fat carnivore diet where you're eating primarily just animals, primarily ruminant meat preferably, no plants, no seasonings. I just like to put salt on things. I do have a little bit of iodine on a weekly basis. But other than that, just eating that way has fixed every single one of my health problems, every single thing. And I've gone into what I was dealing with in some of my other videos. But and then I hear the anecdotal stories of hundreds of other people who are in the exact same position. They're experiencing the exact same thing. And while I know they're anecdotes, but if you have enough anecdotes, it eventually becomes a data set. And then we don't have a lot of data on a strict carnivore diet versus a strict plant diet, but those studies I think are starting to be done, and I'm very excited to see where things are at. But I just wanted to make this video because, it really bothers me, especially when I go to the grocery store and I just see that 95% of what's in the store is just ultra processed crap. It's just poisoning us, making us sick. I see people who are metabolically sick and just, you can tell they're sick. You can just tell by the way they carry themselves, the way they look, their skin, everything, that they're not well. And we all know those people. We all see them every single day in our lives. And then when you go to a grocery store and you see what they're buying and what the food they're buying, and it makes me sad because they don't know any better. Nobody does. We're all told this is how we're supposed to live. This is what's good. This is fine. I mean, for years they told us sugar was good for us. It was an empty calorie and to replace animal fats with it. And it's just all a lie. And these things have been proven to be a lie. But none of that gets the media attention. It's whatever can make a quick buck. And I really do feel bad because the more our society moves towards this like technological, age per se, right, where we rely on the internet and media and just the digital world for everything, and everything's so fast-paced, go, 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 go. How many people are actually going to take the time to sit here and research what is optimal? Really to take the time to listen to the long-form conversations. Everybody is just living in their 3 seconds, right? And eating the things that make people super sick has just become so convenient that it almost seems like, well, it has to be the right way to do it. Otherwise, why would our society set it up to be so easy for us this way? I don't know. I think there's a lot of, it does bother me. I'm trying to think of the best word to say this, but I think a lot of people are being lied to. I think a lot of people are taken advantage of, and they just don't know it. I'm not sure that I know if there's some extremely nefarious group of people in a dark room somewhere, trying to make everybody sick and docile so that they can control them, but who knows? But I do think that makes it easier to do. I think that's as a result of what's happening, whether it was intentional or not. I think it's more likely that just making food as cheap as possible is inevitably going to make it as, nutrientless or as, unhealthy as possible by doing that. And if you can get people to buy it, then why not, right? Make the money. So that's kind of my 2 cents on eat the rainbow, if you will. Are plants actually good for us? I tend to disagree. Can people get away with eating them and be perfectly fine? Sure. I'm sure there are a lot of people who can. But for everybody, for potentially 70% of the population that's pre-diabetic and whoever else, I would imagine even more than that are just metabolically sick in this country. Just look into these things a little bit. And I'm going to put links in the description because I'm not a doctor, right? I'm just kind of telling you guys it's been on my mind based off of all the long form conversations and all the hours of research and discussions that I've listened to and my own reflection and then my own anecdotal experience with my results. But I do encourage you to actually listen to some of these doctors who are in this space who are way smarter than me. And I'll link a lot of the channels down below. So yeah, go watch them. They're a lot more knowledgeable on some of this stuff than I am. And they can kind of go over a lot of the studies and things like that. But yeah, if you like this video, consider subscribing to the channel. I'm trying to get some more subscribers so we can start live streaming on the channel. Sorry for sweating so much. It's like 95 degrees outside. It's a beautiful day, but I wanted to do it outside, get out of the house a little bit, so I didn't realize I was going to be sweating this much. But thanks for everybody for tuning in. That's my 2 cents. Let me know in the comments down below if you yourself had tried a ketogenic or a carnivore diet. What has your experience been? Have you had any health problems that have been kind of cleared up, or have you been struggling with anything? I am kind of curious to know your guys' experience. Let me know your thoughts. Either way, I hope you're having a fantastic and blessed day. We will talk to you later. Peace, love, cheers. Bye.